It is not known now for what length of time the Tuatha Dé Danann had the sway over Ireland. It is likely it was a long time they had it, but they were put from it at last. It was at Inverslane to the north of Leinster, the sons of Gael of the Shining Armour, the very gentle, that were called afterwards the sons of the Gael, made their first attempt to land in Ireland to avenge one of their race that had come there one time and met with his death. It is under the leadership of the sons of Maled they were, and it was from the south they came. Their druids had told them there was no country for them to settle in till they would come to that island in the west. And if you do not get possession of it yourselves, they said, your children will get possession of it. But when the Tuatha Dé Danann saw the ships coming, they flocked to the shore, and by their enchantments they cast such a cloud over the whole island that the sons of Maled were confused, and all they could see was some large thing that had the appearance of a pig. And when they were hindered from landing there by enchantments, they went sailing along the coast till at last they were able to make a landing at Inverskane in the west of Munster. From that they marched in good order as far as Slieve Mish, and there they were met by a queen of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and a train of beautiful women attending on her, her druids and the wise men following her. Amergin, one of the sons of Maled, spoke to her then, and asked her name, and she said it was Banba, wife of Macul, son of the Hazel. They went on then till they came to Slieve Evelyn, and there another queen of the Tuatha Dé Danann met them, and her women and her druids after her, and they asked her name. She said it was Fowla, wife of Machecht, son of the plough. They went on then till they came to the hill of Ushnech, and there they saw another woman coming towards them, and there was wonder on them while they were looking at her, for in the one moment she would be a wide-eyed, most beautiful queen, and in another she would be a sharp-beaked, grey-white crow. She came to where Erimon, one of the sons of Maled, was, and sat down before him. And he asked her who she was. She said, I am Eriu, wife of Macgrenia, son of the sun. And the names of those three queens were often given to Ireland in the aftertime. The sons of the Gael went on after that to Tawar, where the three sons of Kermit Honeymouth, son of the Dagda, that had the kingship between them at the time, held their court. These three were quarreling with one another about the division of the treasure their fathers had left, and the quarrel was so hot it seemed likely it would come to a battle in the end. The sons of the Gael wondered to see them quarreling about such things, and they having so fruitful an island, where the air was so wholesome, and the sun not too strong, or the cold too bitter, where there was such a plenty of honey and acorns, and milk and fish and corn, and room enough for them all. Great grandeur they were living in, and their druids about them at the palace of Tawar, and Amergin went to them, and it is what he said, that they must give up the kingship there and then, or they must leave it to the chance of a battle. And he said he asked this in revenge for the death of of the race of the Gael, that had come to their court before that time, and that had been killed by treachery. When the sons of Kermit Honeymouth heard Amergin say such fierce words, there was wonder on them, and it is what they said, that they were not willing to fight at that time, for their army was not ready. But let you make an offer to us, they said, for we see well you have good judgment and knowledge. But if you make an offer that is not fair, they said, we will destroy you with our enchantments. At that Amergin bade the men that were with him to go back to Inverskane, and to hurry into their ships with the rest of the sons of the Gael, and to go out the length of 9 waves from the shore. And then he made his offer to the Tuatha Dé Danann, that if they could hinder his men from landing on their island, he and all his ships would go back again to their own country, and would never make any attempt to come again. But that if the sons of the Gael could land on that coast in spite of them, then the Tuatha Dé Danann should give up the kingship and be under their sway. The Tuatha Dé Danann were well pleased with that offer, for they thought that by the powers of their enchantments over the wind and the sea, and by their arts, they would be able to keep them from ever setting foot in the country again. So the sons of the Gael did as Amergin bade them, and they went back into their ship and drew up their anchors, moved out to the length of 9 waves from the shore. And as soon as the men of Jaya saw they had left the land, they took to their enchantments and spells, and they raised a great wind that scattered the ships of the Gael, and drove them from one another. But Amergin knew it was not a natural storm was in it, and Aranon, son of Maled, knew that as well. And he went up in the mast of his ship to look about him. But a great blast of wind came against him, and he fell back into the ship and died on the moment. There was great confusion on the Gael, for the ships were tossed to and fro, and had like to be lost. The ship that Dún, son of Meled, was in command of was parted from the others by the dint of the storm, and was broken in pieces, and he himself and all with him were drowned, 24 men and women in all. And son of Meled, came to his death in the same way. His body was cast on the shore, and it was buried in a small island that is now called Scale Michil. A brave man was, leading the sons of the Gael to the front of every battle, and their help and their shelter in battle. His enemies were in dread of his name. And Haraman, another of the sons of Meled, with his share of the ships, was driven to the left of the island, and it is hardly he got safe to land. The place where he landed was called Invercolpa, because Colpa of the Sword, another of the sons of Meled, was drowned there, and he trying to get to land. 5 of the sons of Meled were destroyed by the storm, and the winds of the men of Jaya had raised by their enchantments. And there were but 3 of them left, Heber, Haraman, and Emergan. And one of them, Dún, before he was swept into the sea, called out, "It is treachery our knowledgeable men are doing on us, not to put down this wind." "There is no treachery," said Emergan his brother, and he rose up then before them, and whatever enchantment he did on the winds and the sea, he said these words along with it, that they are tossing in the great wide food-giving sea may reach now to the land, that they may find a place upon its plains, its mountains, its valleys, and its forests that are full of nuts and all fruits, on its rivers and its streams, on its lakes and its great waters, that we may have our gatherings and our races in this land, that there may be a king of our own in Tawar, that it may be the possession of our many kings, that the sons of Meled may be seen in this land, that their ships and their boats may find a place there. This land that is now under darkness, it is for it we are asking. Let our chief men, let their learned wives, ask that we may come unto the noble woman, great Eriu. After he had said this, the wind went down, and the sea was quiet again on the moment. And those that were left of the sons of Meled and of the sons of the Gael landed then at Inverskane. And Emergan was the first to put his foot on land. When he stood on the shore of Ireland, this is what he said: "I am the wind on the sea. I am the waves of the sea. I am the bull of 7 battles. I am the eagle on the rock. I am a flash from the sun. I am the most beautiful of plants. I am a strong wild boar. I am a salmon in the water. I am a lake in the plain. I am the word of knowledge. I am the head of the spear in battle. I am the god that puts fire in the head. Who spreads light in the gathering on the hills? Who can tell the ages of the moon? Who can tell the place where the sun rests?" 3 days after the landing of the Gael, they were attacked by Eriu, wife of Macgrenia, son of the sun, and she was having a good share of men with her, and they fought a hard battle. Many were killed on both sides. And this was the first battle fought between the sons of the Gael and the men of Jaya for the kingship of Ireland. It was in that battle Foch, wife of Uan, was killed in a valley at the foot of the mountain, and it was called after her the Valley of Foch. And Scota, wife of Meled, got her death in the battle. She was buried in a valley on the north side of the mountain near the sea. But the sons of the Gael lost no more than 300 men, and they beat back the men of Jaya and killed 1,000 of them. Eriu was beaten back to Talchan, and as many of her men as she could hold together, and when she came there, she told the people how she had been worsted in the battle, and the best of her men had got their death. But the Gael stopped on the battlefield and buried their dead, and they gave a great burial to 2 of their druids, Er and Echis, that were killed in the fight. And after they had rested for a while, they went on to Invercolpa and Leinster, and Haraman and his men joined them there. And then they sent messengers to the 3 kings of Ireland, the 3 sons of Kermit Honeymouth, and bade them to come out and fight a battle that would settle the ownership of the country once and for all. So they came out, and the best fighters of the Tuatha Dé Danann with them to Talchan, and there they attacked one another. The sons of the Gael remembered the death of Ith, and there was great anger on them. They fell on the men of Jaya to avenge him, and there was a fierce battle fought. For a while neither side got the better of the other, but at last the Gael broke through the army of the men of Jaya and put them to the rout with great slaughter and drove them out of the place. Their 3 kings were killed in the rout, and the 3 queens of Ireland, Eriu, Fowla, Banba. And when the Tuatha Dé Danann saw their leaders were dead, they fell back in great disorder. The sons of the Gael followed after them, But in following them, they lost 2 of their best leaders, Quelnia, son of Bregan, at Slieve Quelnia, and Fua, his brother, at Slieve Fuad. But they were no way daunted by that, but followed the men of Jaya so hotly that they were never able to bring their army together again, but had to own themselves beaten, and to give up the country to the Gael. The leaders, the sons of Meled, divided the provinces of Ireland between them. Heber took 2 provinces of Munster, and he gave a share of it to Amergin, and to Haramon got Leinster, and Connacht for his share. And Ulster was divided between Ewer, son of Ir, son of Meled, and some others of their chief men. And it was the sons of Ewer that were called the children of Rudria, that lived in Emain Macha for 900 years. Some of the best men of Ireland came. Fergus, son of Roch, was one of them, and Conall Cearnach of the Red Branch of Ulster. And from the sons of Ich, the first of the Gael to get his death in Ireland, there came in the aftertime Fahacanan, that got the sway over the whole world from the rising to the setting sun, and that took hostages of the streams and the birds and the languages. And it is what the poets of Ireland used to be saying, that every brave man good at fighting, and every man that could do great deeds and not be making much talk about them, was of the sons of the Gael, and that every skilled man that had music and did enchantment secretly was of the Tuatha Dé Danann. They put a bad name on the Fir Bolgs, and the men of the Domond, and the Gaelion, for lies and for big talk and injustice. But for all that there were good fighters among them, and Ferdiad that made so good a stand against Cuchulainn in the war of the Bow of Quelnia was one of them. And the Gaelion fought well in the same war, but the men of Ireland had no great liking for them, and their druids drove them out of the country afterwards.